Hey, ladies and gentlemen, what's my track record looking like? Kyle Sapphire, shout out to you. You said the reality is Xbox has multiple successful live service gaming platforms with diverse monetization. PlayStation has about as many failed attempts and canceled live service games. Xbox cracked higher revenue and profitability than PlayStation, while PlayStation was chasing the live service bag 3 years too late. Xbox also sucks for Game Pass price hikes. PC due in 12 days. Now, I read all that, but the one that really kind of got me was PC due in 12 days. I'm so excited for you guys. I mean, you see, the reason you can just conveniently say PC due in 12 days is because you just know you have continuity, right? You're not, thinking, oh, I'm going to lose all my library. You still have a good chunk of your Xbox library, and you're going to still enjoy Game Pass. It's not going to be the end of it. You have that PC, right? You're going to call it the Xbox Super Series X. Shout out to Frogbox X1 Gaming. Frogboy X1 Gaming, sorry. Who calls his PCs the Xbox Super Series X's, right? And so at the end of the day, this particular shift in the market is something that's very indicative of exactly what it is I've been trying to warn everyone about. I told whoever I thought was listening to my videos months ago that Xbox was standing in the place to dominate PlayStation. Everybody said I was crazy because a lot of these folk that actually talk about the gaming industry, they talk about it from the perspective of only console sales. The problem, though, is there are more gamers out there that don't play on console than play on console. If you actually think about this particular metric, for instance, gamers that play on mobile and gamers that play on PC. If you have a console and you've decided that all of what your business is going to look like should be within the console, then that market is all you're actually going to be able to leverage. And that's it. So within that market, you have to do things in a smart way, a way that lowers costs and increases profits so that you can continue to stick within your ecosystem every time. This is what Nintendo has been doing and has basically been successful financially at doing. PlayStation, on the other hand, took a much more, I would say, flamboyant approach in trying to make its ecosystem strong. But they miscalculated as the PC ecosystem started to grow to add to that number of gamers that don't play on console. So now, as IGN is doing this study, which is showing that their trends are that more and more people prefer to play on mobile platforms, it's starting to make sense why Epic not only stopped at pursuing the consoles and PC, but mobile with their Fortnite. It's interesting also because it shows that Microsoft figured out that they could also find a way, instead of supporting just games on the mobile space, to support a service on the mobile space, which is Game Pass, and in a sense, using mobile as a piece of the puzzle. Everyone who's making gaming software, in my opinion, that has not dialed into mobile and PC is sitting there waiting to take a big fat L. I keep telling y'all that I don't think Rockstar has enough of the to go ahead and launch GTA 6 without a PC version. They may do it. This is a company called Rockstar. But I don't know, bro. I'm telling you guys that they've got to have $4 trillion level of money to look at PC and say we'll come in 6 months. The $4 trillion backed Xbox has been launching on PC day one since 2016. Understanding that the console limitations in terms of this is all I can get is not going to lead to the forever line go up. Even PlayStation themselves has now started exploring other avenues. They first took the PC approach, measured as you may call it or as it may be, in 2020 and started putting games on PC. Everyone has started to basically diversify, moving all over the place. Even Nintendo took a measured approach and put some titles on mobile, as mobile, according to the gaming trend, still continues to be a threat to them. Let me show you what's going on with this data set. And I've been making multiple videos on this from different angles, just pointing out this reality. The author writes and says, based on the data, the prominence of mobile among young players probably won't be a huge surprise to anyone reading this. It's so funny, though, that I had some folk that were detractors that would not point out this reality and continue to talk about nuance. Okay, maybe there's nuance as to what the diversity of mobile devices are, but I don't necessarily see much, as a lot of the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha generations already know this as their major passageway or pathway to the world. TikTok, YouTube, their messaging apps, everything to them, the phone is the ideal device. Many of them, when they actually approach secondary school education, need to be taught how to use a regular computer. But their phones, they become experts at those things at even the age that you give it to them. They don't even need to stay too long with those devices. They inherently understand them because they're very intuitive. This says 93% of Gen Alpha prefer playing on mobile, according to IGN's segmentation study. But preference for mobile is actually growing for millennials too, with 32% calling it their preferred device. This is the craziest thing that I've seen this week. And you know what's even sad? This was published in July. But July, there was a heavy fiasco of the Xbox ROG Ally and Xbox ROG Ally X. The conversation about whether it is a freaking PC or handheld or console, which Asus has resolved that by putting a sticker behind the freaking thing that says handheld console PC. See the French YouTuber who got his unit early for more details. You'll see it there. So we now know that it covers all that, and it's also a mobile device. So Xbox basically running to the market makes sense with Asus. Instead of waiting to develop one that's cooked up inside of their own labs and all that. You see a lot of people who talk on Twitter about this device and whatever. I don't think, I should take their advice on how to make $4 trillion. Now, the $4 trillion company also blows a lot of money and wastes a lot of money, but at least, if I could actually, scratch the surface of some of the things that they've done right, I think I'd be well off than taking the, the opinions of people who are out there talking smack. Back to the point at hand. When you actually draw into perspective how this gaming industry shift has actually, come together, I strongly believe that many people now are starting to see that they don't necessarily fit into the category of whom these gaming companies are gung-ho about serving. Now, they are getting, service. No problem with that, right? You're getting maybe what your money's worth. If you're not getting what your money's worth, you're moving. You're going to your own platforms. But at the end of the day, these companies usually sit there and do a lot of user research and market analysis and try to predict what the next big trend is. And you see, as many were lambasting Xbox for being that particular platform, trying to buy Activision Blizzard King, trying to consolidate the market, try to do this and that. All of those different weird, accusations that were posited towards Xbox. Xbox was focused on, in my opinion, a lot more than just all those silly accusations. In fact, it now makes a lot more sense. Do you hear me? It now makes a lot more sense to see exactly what it is that Xbox has been trying to do. They've been trying to build multiple platforms on their platforms. Are y'all listening to what I'm saying? Xbox has been trying to build multiple platforms on its platforms. Notice its major acquisitions. Minecraft, a major platform. If at any rate they decide that they want to give Minecraft an overhaul that gives it the Roblox status, it's going to make a big difference. It's not going to be something, I'm not saying it's going to reach Roblox status. I'm just saying it's going to make a difference. That's why the acquisition of Minecraft for about $4 billion was something that people should have actually paid attention to, but nobody was really paying attention to anything in 2017. In 2017, gamers were fighting about loot boxes and Star Wars Battlefront 2. the Darth Vader loot box fiasco. So most gamers are oblivious to these changes happening in real time in front of them. Call of Duty, another acquisition that they made that's been basically ground shaking. And so now they're sitting on the table with two of these as PlayStation tries to find its derrière from its head and can't necessarily land a live service game that makes any sense. When they had the opportunity with Helldivers 2, what did they do? They decided that they were going to make it exclusive, so their old school mindset.exe was still drawing and holding them back. Then they decided that they were going to pretty much hamstring PC gamers from playing the game because they wanted some stupid PlayStation login, and therefore they pretty much killed their own live service shot at making it. Marvel Rivals came in and swooped in and took everything from them right underneath their nose after their Concord failure. Colin Moriarty, who's an ardent PlayStation user, is now calling for PlayStation to make a live service game on like an emergency line. I don't know if any of you saw his last post. His last post was saying, if at this time you still don't know or understand why it's absolutely essential that PlayStation aggressively develops their own games as a service, you probably never will. Do you know why? Because Xbox done bodied them in this area. This is PlayStation's major critical weakness right now, that they do not have this, as so-called fanboys and pundits pretend like it's not a necessity for such a platform of this status. Xbox, on the other hand, is sitting on multiple. Do y'all really think that the Activision Blizzard King thing was about freaking consolidation of the market? Do you really think Jim Ryan was trying to stop it? If you really think that was the case, then why did Jim Ryan's PlayStation blow $3 billion almost immediately after? What were they looking for? They were looking for the exact same thing. And they went ahead and bought Bungie to see if they could actually make their way in here, but that didn't work. Destiny was already one of those games that could not crack that ceiling on the consoles. On PC, you'll see Destiny show up from time to time, Destiny 2, but that purchase was way too late to try to catch up or keep up. So by and large, I can see people feeling disenfranchised with all of the fighting going on, as it is no longer, in my opinion anyways, dedicated to the classic gamer style and gamer preference. And so some people are moving to PC, where they have access to game preservation, access to a lot more freedom, access to better prices, access to control of their own gaming. And at this point in time, I don't blame them. And what's even crazy is Xbox is basically predicting a lot of their moves and is now kind of merging and blending PC into everything. You really mean to tell me that the $4 trillion company does not really know how to do its market research? Yet the YouTubers and the pundits and all of these people that are talking really know what they're doing more than Microsoft or Xbox? Okay, let's see how y'all's ideas play out. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.